What's up, everybody? John Eric Pauli here with my MMA news, and today's guest just defeated Hakeem Dawodu by unanimous decision at UFC 275. Pleased today to once again be joined by Julian Erosa. Julian, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. I know we spoke before the fight, so it's nice to have you back and kind of have everything come full circle with the great training camp that you had, and now to be able to go out get this big time win. So congratulations and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's one of those things where you do the interviews before the fight, and then you actually hope and pray that you're going to do the interviews afterwards, because usually when you're doing interviews after the fight, it's because you did a good job. So I'm happy to be on the show, and I'm happy to do interviews right now.
Yeah, I see. And he did one hell of a job out there, too. We are going to get into the X's and O's of the fight. A few things I want to talk about before we get into any of that. Just how's life right now, man? It's got to be pretty good because not only are you celebrating a big win, like you just said, but a few days ago, brand new UFC contract. So, first off, just how's life, and give us the details about the contract.
Yeah, obviously after a fight, win, lose, or draw, it always feels like there's a little bit of relief. You're amping up for a fight for so many weeks, worried about the weight. You're just kind of stressed out a little bit, and you just after a fight, you just feel like all the stress kind of fades away. And obviously winning a fight makes it feel that much better. So, I'm kind of I'm riding high right now, but I try not to get too high or too low about wins and losses, because if you get too high about a win, then if you lose next time, it's that much more devastating. So my coach always likes to say, give yourself 24 to 48 hours of enjoying or being depressed, and then get back in the gym and forget about what happened, and have a short memory, and just remember why you're doing it, and don't let it get to your head too much. And so for me, I've enjoyed it, but I'm already training this week. I've already been working and helping other people that are getting ready for fights as well. I got teammates that have fights coming up. So, I feel good. And I feel good to be like let the example show to all the people that I'm training with that if you put the work in, it'll happen. So, I'm there for them as well as they were there for me, and just going to keep the ball rolling.
And then how about the contract, too? Give us the details on the new contract there.
Yeah, when I fought Sean Woodson, short notice, they gave me a 4-fight contract. On the fourth fight, or after my third fight when I got knocked out by Troy, they'd given me a short notice fight against Charles Jourdain, and the biggest incentive was to renegotiate a contract. So they gave me a new contract at that point. So Jourdain was the first fight on that. And then I fought Peterson, and then now Dawodu. So that's 3 fights, 3 wins. And fight of the night on one, and I finished Jourdain as well, and then the Dawodu fight, and once you get to that third fight, you're thinking about renegotiation. So my manager called me and let me know that Sean Shelby wanted to give me a new contract, and couldn't be more thrilled about it. Just signed it like 2 days ago, and it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for me in the UFC.
Yeah, man, 100%. And it's something too, like you Extreme Couture guys, too. You guys are always ready to go all year round. So I'm sure the next fight on that UFC contract probably going to be sooner than later for you. But let's start diving into things from this past fight at UFC 275. So of course there's the whole saying of the fight before the fight, right? The weigh-ins, the battle with the scale. Obviously, you came as a professional that you are. You make weight. Hakeem, bit of a surprise. He missed weight for the first time in his career. So first off, I mean, kudos for you stepping up, still taking the fight. I know it is extra money for you, but it's risky. I remember there was maybe about 2-3 years ago, there was this big stat where like at one point people that missed weight were like that year 7-1 or 8-1 in the UFC, and there was that little trend for a little while. I don't know what the numbers are now with it, but that is the risk, because essentially when people go back and look at things a lot of times, they just see who won or lost, not who made weight, who missed weight. So just talk about that decision as to why you decided, hey, I know he was, 2-3 pounds over. I'm still going to take the fight, and we're going to go out there and get this thing done.
Yeah, and I had no idea about that stat where, if you miss weight, I guess automatically you already become a bigger favorite, or the odds like go into your favor. And I think it's because possibly they're saying that you're not cutting as much weight and it's not as hard. But for me, it's more about the mental battle, versus the physical battle. Yeah, physically cutting weight sucks, but if you haven't mentally prepared yourself, through the entire fight camp to make weight and be willing to sacrifice, yourself to get the weight down, then I don't know how you think you can step into a UFC cage under the lights and really make it happen. So for me, when people miss weight, not only is it beneficial for me financially, but I think I have a mental edge over them. Which brings me back to that point where they become a more of a favorite, or the odds switch in their favor when they miss weight, which is so weird to me. Because Peterson and Dawodu both miss weight, and I felt like going into those fights, I already had a mental edge, but also not only that mental edge, the physical edge, because I feel like I didn't cut any corners, and I can't cut any corners if I got to make 146 pounds. I mean, it's a tough, difficult cut for me, so I have to be on top of it 100%. But also, like leading into the fight, I feel like losing money financially for him, he's already feeling like, maybe a little bit more pressure, like he's already down something before he even gets in the fight. And for me, I feel like I was free rolling a little bit. I got, they paid me, 30% of his purse, which actually ended up being more money than I made to beat Nate Landwehr, so it was almost like a free roll for me in that sense, that I was walking into that fight already got my show money, and I got like almost half my, or a little over half my my win bump or my win check without even winning yet. So like walking in there, I felt like I was free rolling a little bit, and I felt like he was fighting, or just more mentally felt like he was down a little bit before we even threw the first punches. So I think that can kind of sway it a little bit in your mind. But honestly, take the money out, take the missing the weight out. I was training so hard for this fight, and this was obviously the most important fight for me, especially being the third fight on my contract. That I put so much time and effort into this. If he didn't, I mean, if the commission was going to let it happen, I was willing to fight. 100%. There was no questions. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. My coach would like kind of joke about it, like after we found out he was going to miss weight, my coach was all like, "So what do you want to? So what are we going to do?" I'm like, "What are we going to do? Of course, we're fighting this motherfucker. Like that's what we're going to do. Like there makes nothing changes." And he talks about it later. He's like, "Man, after I sent that text message, I was like, I don't even know why I sent him that text message. I already knew you were going to fight." So, when you put time and effort, I put 2 months, and not only that, it's not just a fight camp. I train all year round, so I'm always working hard and always trying to get better. So, and it'd been a while since I had fought. So if I said no to that fight, then when do I get a fight? Maybe in a couple more months, and I got time to wait like that. I wanted to get in there and really mix it up with him, and I was as prepared as possible. So him missing weight, no sweat off my back.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about this whole topic of missing weight and everything, it's like usually whenever there's a fight night or pay per view and somebody misses weight, it becomes a big topic because usually a lot of people don't miss weight. But for this card, I mean, this was crazy with everything that happened at the press conference right before the weigh-ins. Of course, what I'm talking about obviously is Hamzat Chimaev missing weight here, and it was funny. Like I normally watch all the pay-per-view events with my father, and him and my mom had went away for the weekend to the beach. So I called them as it was happening. I thought I was gonna have to like write everything down in a text message and send it out to him to try to break everything down because it was so crazy, all the moving parts that went with it. Obviously, you had a fight you were getting ready to go and do there. Did you pay attention to all those moving parts with the card? Because it seemed like the whole MMA community was like, man, this is really messed up, and had their eyes on their phone the whole entire day waiting for an update from Dana White as to what was going to happen there.
Yeah, yeah. I was obviously hyper focused on fighting Dawodu, so um, I wasn't as focused on all the extra stuff that was going on, but it was very interesting, and like just being a fan of MMA as well. I was interested in what was going on, and also I was able to see in the back, the backstage version of it. So I was watching guys signing contracts before walking out to the ceremonials. Like, you got guys re-signing new contracts, and Kevin Holland watching the back before they shuttled us over to the ceremonials, and he's like, "Nah, fuck that. I ain't gonna go until they bring my new contract. Like, we gotta figure this out." And he walked off. And then like 15, 20 minutes later, he walks in with a big smile on his face, saying that he got paid pretty good, and was hoping that D-Rod also got paid pretty good because obviously they were originally the matchup to go. And so everybody I think made out pretty good in those three fights, and those six people. I think they all made out like bandits, and the UFC obviously wanted to keep the card alive and keep all the moving parts together, and somehow they made it work. I think it's the first time it's ever happened where you have three of the biggest fights get rearranged and everybody somehow just it gets figured out. And it's also because they're all kind of hovering around the same weight classes too. So it's like I think that's was one of the big important variables that made it all happen. But money talks as well. People ask me if I would have if I would have been able to change opponents and fight. And shoot, I mean, I signed a contract to fight Dawodu at a certain weight class. He missed that weight class, and I still said yes, because money talks. They were going to give me 30% of his money, and so that's the incentive as well. So for these guys, I mean, Kevin Holland, I think he got a way harder matchup going from D-Rod to fighting Chimaev, two different types of fighters. And so, that's a tough one to want to take, but Holland's a game opponent. He's as game as anybody else. And I know they probably put some O's on his a couple of new O's on his new contract for that one. So and probably guaranteed him some other stuff as well. So like I said, money talks, man. I would fight Chimaev, for the right amount of money too. So I think it worked out for everybody in the end.
Yeah, I know. Kudos to the UFC too for keeping that card together. I know there's a little few minor details people might not be happy with, but I mean, it is what it is. It was still a great night of fights to watch, and I do want to now get into the X's and O's specifically of your fight here. We'll start with the opening 2 rounds, and I'll let you kind of break them down for everybody. But essentially, that first round, man, you were so hot out of the gate there. You hit him with just about, I feel like, everything but the kitchen sink. I mean, big heavy shots, knees, elbows, literally everything. You were on fire that round. Then the second round, you guys kind of both came out, had a few moments, both landed some shots. You were then able, obviously, get the takedown, get the body triangle, and really go to work then that later half of that round. So obviously those 2 rounds were fantastic for you. Just kind of break everybody down those opening 10 minutes and just how you were able to find your groove so fast in that fight.
Yeah, I think this fight for sure. I was a bit more calculated, and I wanted to be, and that was the whole game plan leading into this fight. I wanted to be a bit more calculated, use my range to my advantage, and really just not get too brawly with him. I knew I could win that as well, but when you start brawling with somebody, you start flipping a coin. And hopefully it lands on heads, or if your head's that night. But things happen, and when you're brawling it out. He can land. He's a powerful guy. Everybody in this division is a powerful guy, can land, a lucky punch. And so I didn't want to give him that opportunity, especially in the first round. So I wanted to be as measured and rangy as possible. And I think I was really able to do that. And I think I threw him off with, the range that I had. Because usually I do fight, like, in a phone booth. And so kind of keeping him at the end of my punches. Because the two shots that I did land on him were right hands that were just long, down the pipe right hand that really didn't feel like I had much behind him. I'd just been drilling it so many times that it just felt so natural, and just tapped him right on his chin perfectly, and wobbled him pretty well. And then I think just being measured, not hurting him and not getting crazy about it. Like I hurt him, and tried getting a little bit of a finish going. But I wanted to make sure that if I wasn't going to finish him, that I didn't want to get, too crazy. I knew he was a tough kickboxer and probably does a lot of sparring with a lot of good guys. So I didn't even if I hurt him, I knew he was going to be game. So I didn't want to walk into something stupid and go blindly throwing punches. So I was a bit measured, and I hurt him probably 2 or 3 different times in that round, and was satisfied with it. But I definitely I was hoping I could have got the finish, but in these fights, every second counts. And I was actually happy that I was able to get 15 minutes in, because I think it gives you more experience as well. But the second round, we're happy with the stand up, but also one of the big, the big areas we wanted to, take him was into the grappling. I feel like I'm a better grappler than he was. And so if I got him on the ground in a position where I can control him, it was going to be difficult for him to get out and fight me back. So, and obviously taking someone's back, it's hard for them to throw any offense at you. And, so me getting him down, taking his back and controlling him for the last couple of minutes, not only drains him a little bit, I'm used to that position. So, some people like talk about getting tired by holding body triangles on people, but I do it all the time. My legs are conditioned enough for that. So I could have held him for 15 minutes like that, no problem. And, I knew he was going to be a tough guy to finish from there, but I figured I could pepper him up a little bit and just frustrate him and just wear on him. And then just, make it, just a long fight for him and a long night for him, and make it as easy as possible for me. And so I was able to hold us back for 2 minutes at the end and not get the stroke, but, was still confident with that. And then, obviously leading into the third round, um, I felt like I was like, I watched that fight back and I get a little disappointed because I love leaving it all out there. I love just, making a dog of the fight. And I usually like to walk away just completely exhausted. But at the same time, I'm very satisfied with the situation because I was able to be a bit more measured and be smart about it. I took no damage in that fight. And, Peterson, I think I lost a couple. I think me and Peterson both lost a couple years off our lives. And, it's fun. It's fun for the fans and it's fun for me. I enjoy that. But, I want to be a bit more smart and more technical with the fight, and I think that's what happened this time.
And I was going to ask that too about the third round because that was one thing that the commentary was saying. The broadcast, I felt you kind of took the foot off the gas, but obviously you were able to get another takedown in that round, obviously secure it all up. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about this fight too, which was a tremendous compliment from the UFC commentary, they said that this was the best version that they ever saw of you. I guess so. A couple things to break down here. Number one, do you agree? Was that the best version that the world's ever saw of you? And another thing to go off of too, you had briefly mentioned it in your answer before, and I want to ask you about this. Before the fight, we had talked about you being 6'1", and you mentioned you usually get in this phone booth fight. You want to use your range a lot more. Do you think that kind of has now obviously led to this now where you're stringing together all these good performances and you're using your length and that things really are starting to now click inside of the octagon?
Yeah, I think this was definitely one of the better versions of me. And obviously, it's not necessarily the fight. I had a good performance against like Jourdain, Peterson, Landwehr, and these other guys. But I think just my opponent is what made it, one of my best performances because people really thought that Hakeem was going to be a bit difficult for me. I guarantee you I was the underdog in all the betting lines and, in most people's minds as well. But you're only the underdog to other people if you let it happen. So for me, I felt like I was the favorite leading into this fight, and we've been working so hard on my striking and just being long and rangy, having good defense. Sometimes I like to put my hands down and just like eat one to give one, and it's not the smartest thing to do. And I've been just really, really, really working on that. And I think I'm 33 years old and I've been around this game for a long time, but I still learn something every single day. And even if it's the basic stuff, I always open myself up to learning things, and I think that's one of the biggest detriments to a lot of people that get to this level and been doing this for so long. Some people think they can't learn anything, but every single day I'm just trying to get better, even if it's something as simple as throwing a right hand down the pipe. And it's basics like that that really win fights. And I think that's what really helped me with the Dawodu fight. I think just being rangy, man. Like everything depends on the range. Your punching is dependent on being at punching range. Your kicking needs to be kicking range. Your wrestling needs to be wrestling range. I mean, and these ranges aren't super far from each other. So, you could be a couple inches off, throwing a punch, and it can mean the difference of knocking somebody out and not hitting them at all. So, just really understanding these ranges and being able to utilize them as much as possible. And even connecting it with the wrestling. I was able to take them down because I was able to use my striking range to set up my wrestling range and get in there and end up getting into the ground. So I think, honestly, really understanding ranges and working on that as much as possible has helped me tremendously, and it showed with the W fight.
And it's got one more thing for you here. You mentioned before earlier in the interview, right, with Hakeem missing weight. A lot of extra money coming your way there. So obviously you go out, you get the win, so double pay right there, plus what you got from his purse there. What's the plans with the extra money there? Gonna buy something nice, just go in the savings account? What's up with the extra money?
My wife handles all the finances. I let her just hold the money away. And honestly, for me, I don't even care about the money. Like, obviously, it's nice to be able to make a career out of what I love to do, but just winning the fight, man, just going in there and doing as good as I did is the most important thing for me. And not only, win, lose, or draws, whatever, just going in there and performing. If I would have done just as good that night, but he was better and he beat me for whatever reason, I would have still been just as happy with my performance because I've been working so hard on these specific details of my fighting technique and was able to utilize it against a guy who, obviously on paper should be a better striker than me. And so I was just completely satisfied and happy with the way I was able to perform. So the money, it's always nice to add extra money, because I was, you think about your show money and your win money. you're not anticipating somebody missing weight. You know, you always think that your opponent's going to show up and make weight. So that's money that was not accounted for. And then after it's all said and done, and everything kind of settles, and then you get more money at the end. It's definitely a nice surprise. And me and my wife got relatively new cars. We just bought a house recently, so it'll all go to that kind of stuff.
Got you. I was going to say, at first when you said that your wife handles the finance, I was going to say every woman that watches this interview is going to go right over to their husband or significant other, give him a punch in the arm, go, look at what he does. He lets her handle the finances, so at least it's going to go to something good, like new cars and a house and all that. But anyway, man, really appreciate all the time here today. Great catching up with you. Last thing before you roll out, social media, management, sponsors, anybody got to give a shout out to? Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, usually the best way to reach me is my Instagram, Julian_Erosa. And obviously, got to always thank my management, Jason House, with the Iridium Sports Agency, and everybody over there. I mean, they literally take care of me. Always make sure everything's good for me on the week of the fight, my weigh-ins, all that. They make sure, I mean, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here right now, I guarantee. And they're always pushing for me. And obviously all the fans of the UFC and my fans, Hakeem's fans, even all the guys that I fought, their fan base also builds to what we do. And then obviously you and all the interviewers that are spreading the word on a daily basis. Thank you so much.
All right, Julian, thanks so much for all the time here today, man. Really appreciate it. It was great catching up with you. And, man, congrats. Big win. I'm sure big things on the horizon here. And you got that nice brand new UFC contract. So good luck with everything there. And just last thing before I roll out, just to remind you guys, keep checking out MyMMANews.com. Make sure that you guys go to our social media pages. Give us a like and a follow on there. You want to find me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm at John Eric Poli. And then the very last thing, just to remind you guys, if you like today's interview, make sure to go to the bottom, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. We'll see you later, everybody.